I'm trucking on, and I'm trucking on. Move her on down the line, another town will do me fine. I'm trucking on, I'm trucking on.
Carl Ewert. Carl Ewert. Welcome to Truckin' On. It's a pleasure to have you here, my friend.
Delighted to be here. Beautiful place, beautiful home, great guy.
Yeah, I could say the same thing about you if I was sitting in your home.
We've known each other a long time, Ward.
I know. I mean, my whole life, really. I remember doing swim. Kelly's in my grade, so I remember doing swim team at Lakewood Country Club with Kelly, right?
Right.
We went to the homecoming dance.
I didn't know that.
My sophomore year at Woodrow. You
didn't bet her down, did you?
You probably blocked it out of your memory because I got so drunk that my mom had to come get me. Passed out in the back.
Okay, you answered my question.
Of Champ Hensley's pickup truck in the rain at the dance. And I had to come apologize to you and Kelly.
Wow.
And that was the last time I drank for the majority of high school until after I was accepted to college. And then I drank again. But my parents were real clear the next day after that homecoming dance. If we even smell alcohol in your breath, you're going to military school and you can no longer play football. So
that's New Mexico.
I will never forget my date to the homecoming dance with Kelly, at least the beginning of it. And I was so proud of myself for quitting drinking through high school. I wrote my college essay on this topic. Every time I drank, I got in big trouble early on in high school, and then I quit like October of sophomore year. And then I went on my football recruiting trip spring of senior year, and we went to a fraternity party, and I drank again. And then I kept drinking for 20 years, heavily.
You quit drinking?
I started in college.
For 20 years?
For 20 years, yeah. Pretty heavy. I was pretty good at functioning, so I did a lot of things, and I think I finished college in 4 years, and I accomplished a lot of things that helped me to justify it, doing Ironman triathlons and doing all these things. But that's kind of my journey, and it begins with your daughter, kind of. So that's something I'll never forget.
Well, you picked a good one to start your journey with.
That's right. So we go way back. And I remember just going to your house. They would have Young Life meetings there, and you would have all kinds of social gatherings at your house all the time.
We still do.
Christmas parties. You would have Christmas parties that I would go to in my 20s. And I know all of you have five
kids.
5 kids. I went to high school with all of them. And Stephen Holly, who's married to Molly, he and I have known each other since elementary school. So I've known Mitch Paradise forever, who's married to Jennifer. So it's special.
You could give what you're asking me to give you back in this conversation. You already know all of it.
Kind of. I know when I got there, kind of the story. And obviously, you were a legendary commercial real estate broker. I don't know if it's obvious for everyone listening, but a lot of commercial real estate people listen. And I interned at the Staubach company with you. And then I've been a real estate broker for 20 years. And that we've always had that kind of thread in common too, seeing each other at industry events. And I do industrial, you did office. So we weren't direct competitors. Oh, and then of course I've worked with Travis for 75% of my career at different companies too, at Transwestern and at Colliers. So gosh, we have a lot of ties together. I called Travis to track you down and said, "Hey, I want to get your dad on the podcast." And I've thought about you being a guest since I started it 3 years ago. So here we are. And I do like to start age 12 to 22 and hear kind of the most impactful things that happened during that period of time that you can recall and how that potentially shaped your life.
Well, a good start is probably 12 because from 12 below is pretty much of a blur to me.
Same.
My life and my mind started at 12. It started because I started a lawn mowing company. My great parents. I had a very beautiful, chiseled, smart, stubborn, hard-headed, strong-willed mother. My dad was like Superman. He was Clark Kent by day and Superman by night. And he traveled quite a bit, and I traveled with him sometimes. And Mom had the hardship of raising us mostly because Dad was on the road a lot. But he was always around. He always had an influence. So you may know or may not know, I'm a twin.
I don't think I knew that.
And his name was Greg. And and I have a younger sister named Barbara Houlihan. She is in commercial real estate.
I know her.
Married an Irishman. Great guy, has a great laugh. And Greg passed away of alcoholism right before his 65th birthday. Probably the last 2 years of his life, I ran the financing of him and his home. He lived in Austin. And unfortunately, he was married 3 times, and estranged from his kids. And I went down to see him once a week just to check in on him, see how he was doing. Anyway, so that started at 12, went up through high school, athlete, very independent at what I did. I had a great time.
Where did you grow up?
I lived 2 blocks from the Hockaday Girls School in North Dallas.
Okay.
That was a new area at the time. LBJ was not in. That was all some warehouses where we would shoot rabbits and things like that. So I went to W.T. White.
Okay.
I had a wonderful high school, junior high. All was good. Lots of sports. And decided to go to college. Not decided, I was going to college. And I'd run around with a group of kids since the first grade. There was about 40 of us, girls and guys. We're all graduating, and we're all getting ready to go to the University of Texas. And guys were all going to be SAEs, and girls were all going to be Pi Phis. That was already decided going in. And I was having dinner one night with a friend of mine's dad who owned Morton Food Company. He was the CEO of Morton Food, Dan Neal. And we were eating some venison steaks that were fresh from the hunting season. And we're talking about going to school, going to the University of Texas. And Dan said, "Have you guys ever thought about going to Texas Tech?" And we went, "No." "Where is it?" "Well, it's in West Texas." He said, "It's a beautiful school. It's out west. It's probably 5 hours out of Dallas. And for you guys, it's got an extremely good business school. I have a plant out there that makes potato chips, and y'all could work there part-time for some spend money. The hunting is phenomenal. Good deer, pheasant, quail, chucker. Great hunting. You're 3.5 hours out of Ruidoso for snow skiing. You're 6 hours out of Colorado for snow skiing and hiking. It's a great place to go." Okay. And he said, "You guys kind of ran around in a clique. And so the clique has been together for 12 years, and you're now going to college as a clique. you ever sat back and thought about all the people in your junior high and high school that you've been around and don't have a clue who they are, what they do, where they live, what they're up to? You don't know them because you've been hanging out in this clique. You ever thought going somewhere and starting completely over when you don't know anybody? It's a new canvas in your life. No, never thought about that. Okay, so we finish up the dinner. Well, I go home and start percolating on that idea. And about 2 days later, I called Danny and I said, Danny, I think your dad really had a good point of all the people we have missed. I mean, we're getting ready to stay in this group for another 4 years. I think I want to go to Tech. You ever been to Tech? No. You want to go? And he said, sure. So a week later, we packed up our cars, transcripts in hand from high school diplomas, and drove to Lubbock, Texas.
So many amazing commercial real estate people in Dallas went to Texas Tech.
They did.
It's a thing.
It's a strong real estate school. Very strong.
I spoke at the real estate school last year, and that was the first time I've ever been on campus there, actually. And I was so impressed by it and all the students. And it's just, and I have so many friends that went there that are in our business that I've just become great friends with. It's been told to me, I don't know if you felt this way, but Texas Tech students graduate and they have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder coming out of college because they're not taken as seriously as people that went to UT or Texas A&M or SMU. So they come to Dallas and outwork everybody. And I've been told that by multiple Texas Tech folks, and it pencils out to me. Like I can see that work ethic it seems to be a common thing between tech graduates.
Well, it's a very conservative school, and life's lessons are embedded in West Texas, principles of life. It's a different way than Dallas, and the people are different. It's more rural, it's country, it's pickups. Dallas is city slickers, and out there, your country.
Yeah.
It's a different way of life, but it's a culture that you can be anybody you want to be and do whatever you want to do. If it needs fixing, fix it. And if you need to do better, look at the mirror. Talk to the mirror. And it's that kind of a culture out there. Anyway, so we drove out, we got accepted, everything's great. We had gone out there for the summer. Here we go. Life's good. It was fraternity rush. I knew nothing about fraternities for the most part. My parents never talked about them. They weren't in one. Both of my parents' families came over, one from Germany, one from Scotland, both through Ellis Island, lived in Detroit, Michigan. We're talking people with not a lot of money. They worked in the steel mills and the car factories. And my parents were the only two in their families that picked up and left Michigan and came to Dallas because my dad was with Chrysler Corporation and they transferred him down here. So I got here when I was in the first grade. So anyway, moving forward, I got to Tech and there's rush for a fraternity and I get rushed and I don't understand it, but I'm there. So I pick a group out there and joined an organization called the Fidels. Like a lot of athletes in there and a lot of cowboys. They were a lot of the big ranches around the state of Texas. Their sons go to Tech, and that's what they do. And most of those guys became Fidels out there. So I had a fraternity full of cowboys, and jocks. And I was a city slicker.
Yeah.
Well, it was the objective of the Cowboys to make sure that us from Dallas knew their way of life and knew how to handle it and knew how to become one. And they taught us what kind. You only wear Wrangler jeans. You only wear rounded toe boots. You carry a beer in the boot in case you need a backup for the one you have in your hand. You only drive a pickup, and it better be a Ford. And we'd go to their ranches during pledship, and we would mend fences and cut bulls and clip them and vaccinate them. And of course, there's the university rodeo, and you had to learn how to rodeo and do all those things that you do in a rodeo through pledship. So I did all that, and that really changed my life. I came home, my first semester, Christmas date was December 23rd, 1968. I'd been in school for 3 months, pledging. Drive in, see my parents, unpack. 2 hours later, leaving the house, getting ready to go out on a date. And my mother's in the kitchen. She says, "Where are you going?" And I said, "Well, I have a date." "Well, where does she live?" And I said, "East Dallas." "Where is East Dallas?" "Lakewood." "Oh." So I had to call her to find out how to get to her house. So as I was walking out the door, my mother said, "I'll be in by midnight." I laughed. I said, "Be in by midnight?" She said, "Yeah." And I said, "Look." And about this time, when I said, "Look," Superman shows up, and he has seen this scene before. Very strong-willed child with a very strong-willed mother. And so Dad had seen the scene, and he's just listening in his reporter attire, knowing that he's got a cape behind him. And so I laughed, and I said, "Look, Mom, I've been in Lubbock for 3 months. You don't have a clue what I'm taking, what I'm majoring in, what I do at night, when I come in, when I go out. You don't have a clue. And I'm not about to come home and play under house rules. That ain't going to happen." Well, about that time, Superman shows up. My dad says to me, "I'm going to give you the greatest lesson in life that you are ever going to get in your life." And I said, "This ought to be good. I'm listening." And he puts his hand on my shoulder and says to me, "Son, as long as someone or something is paying for your existence, you play by their rules."
True that.
He said, "You understand what I just said to you?" And I said, "Well, I think I do. Let me give it back to you, see how I got it right. Because you're paying for my college tuition, room and board, the gas that goes in my car. I bought that car. And I'm working in Lubbock. I'm making my own spend money. But because you're paying for the majority of it, that you're paying for my existence to be in Lubbock." He said, "You understand what I said then to you? You'll be in by midnight." "Well, Dad, I don't like your rules. I don't agree with your rules, and I don't like your rules, and I thoroughly understand what you just said to me. So here." I reach in my back pocket, and I throw down my credit card for the gas. I reach in my other pocket, get my checkbook out, and I throw it down. This is on the kitchen counter. And I said, "I'm never going to touch those again. I'm leaving. I am not going to be in by midnight. And I'll never take another dime from you the rest of your life." And I pirouetted and out the door.
Wow.
Found East Dallas. Went on a date. The date wasn't good, at least up to my expectations.
Woodrow girl?
Yes. Drove home, 10 o'clock at night. Parents are in bed. I went back to my room, packed my bags, got my suitcase, threw it in the back of my trunk, and drove back to Lubbock, Texas, 2 days before Christmas. Make a long story short on that, I only talked to my parents twice in the next 4 years. I put myself through school, paid for my own education, paid for my fraternity, became a cheerleader out there for 3 years, became a student senator, became a saddle tramp.
What's a saddle tramp?
That's a spirit organization.
Oh, okay.
Had a great life.
Yeah.
Got a student loan. I knew a girl out there whose dad was head of Rauscher Pierce, the investment company. My loan was for $10,000. I got the money, went over to Bonnie's house, is what her name was. Gave it to her dad, and I said, here, you keep it. You invest it. Never give it back to me until the day I graduate. Don't let me have it regardless of what happens. You keep it. Okay. So we did that. I graduated. The girl that I did not have a good date with, I ended up marrying, or was going to marry, got engaged. So we both graduated. We loaded up a U-Haul. We drove back to Dallas. First stop was my house. I had a key to the house. I was not about to use the key to that house because it's their house. So I rang the doorbell. Parents came to the door. Mom started crying. They invited us in. We sat around the den, talked for a little bit. And I have an envelope in my hand, and I give the envelope to my dad. And I said, we're getting married next week. That's an invitation to our wedding if you'd like to come. And I'd like to have you if you have the time to come. It's going to be in East Dallas, over in the Lakewood area. So we talked through that a little bit. I said, I need to use the restroom. So I get up and go to the bathroom. I walk out the bathroom, and my dad's standing at the door. He said, I'm really proud of you. You've done it all on your own. Can I pay for your honeymoon? I went, nope. It's already paid for. We're heading to Mexico. And that's how we start our life. And
you became an adult very fast.
Very fast.
You didn't really need to. What do you think was that drove you to do that? That desire.
I do not like to be told what to do.
I can feel that.
I am very receptive to your thoughts. But someone that looks at me and says, let me tell you something. I back up about 2 feet and I'm ready to go. But thoughts, may I give you a thought? Sure. Love to hear it. Digest it. Use it. Don't use it, but it's my decision. And I've been that way all my life.
Yeah.
So go off to college, get a job at Lakewood Bank. I was there 6 months, and I got a call from the human resources person. They said, hey, when we hired you, we didn't put you through a Briggs-Weaver psychological test. Do you mind taking one? And I went, no, I don't mind. That's great. Take the test. 3 weeks later, he calls me back up and says, you have a minute? Me to visit with you on your test? And I said, sure. So I go up and see him. John Donner, nice guy, ex-military, Marine. He said, Carl, why are you a banker? And I said, well, that was one of my jobs in Lubbock. I I worked at a bank. I ran their credit department. Why do you ask? He said, well, I'm reading through your test results. And he said, banking just doesn't work for you. He said, a bank is an institutional organization. You work your way up the ladder. Well, you don't know how to do that. You just see a target and you become steadfast in hitting it over, above, through, or around. You're going to hit that target. And you're not going to mess with those things that are in the periphery vision of it. And you're going to piss someone off. And you're never going to move up that ladder. They're going to bury you in the vault. And I said, well, John, you telling me I'm fired? Now I'm 6 months out of college. And he said, no, but I think it'd be really smart of you to have another job in the next 3 months. Okay. Got it. So I had to go home and tell my new wife that 6 months later I've been kindly let go of the job and I need to find a new one. Well, from there, I became a manufacturer's rep in the electronics industry. Knew nothing about that. Was given a territory, Houston and West Texas. Wow. Okay. Well, in 5 years, I became their top salesman.
Were you driving to all the customers?
Yes.
And so you're on the road?
All the time.
Yeah.
Like my dad. And I didn't know anything about electronics, but I sure knew a lot about people.
Right.
And I represented 26 factories. Knew them, travel up to see them, ask them what they need, where we're going. It worked out great. The owner of that company ended up hiring his son. So he and his son and I were running the business. And his dad was talking about early retirement and selling the company to us. So I end up going in, later on, I go to Roscoe, Texas to go deer hunting with a neighbor of ours in Lakewood, and he was the president of a company called the Swearingen Company. We're sitting there at 6:30 in the morning. It's dark, it's cold in Roscoe, Texas, and we get talking about business, and he says, how you like your company? And I went, love it. We're doing great. We talk about that, and I said, how do you like real estate? He said, oh, great business. And we talked about that for a little while, and he said, you would really be good in real estate. Well, it was my minor in school. I was a finance major and a real estate minor. And he said, we get off this hunt, you ought to come down to my office and let me introduce you to my partners. Anyway, so we did that. I liked it. Talked to him for about the next month, and then came up with the conclusion that I was going to leave the electronics business, and at 33, got into the real estate business. And did that until 35. At 35, another guy and I were Swearingen's top brokers.
Who's the other guy? Do I know him?
You don't know him.
Oh, yeah.
I'd tell you if you knew him. You don't know him. But he really taught me real estate. From his, he knew real estate, but he had no personality. And so it was like getting a master's in real estate with this guy. Anyway, I ended up getting a call from the Staubach company. Well, I'd never met Roger. I only heard about Staubach. Roger had gone from being a developer to opening a brokerage company. And we went to lunch at Sevy's. And he said to me, I've got an idea that I want to run past you. See if you like it and you think it'll work.
This is Roger Staubach.
Uh-huh.
And you'd never met him, but
No.
he just knew who you were and reached out to you.
Right.
Wow.
he and a lady named Kay Cotter.
Yeah.
And they said, "Do you think it will work?" And I said, "Well, what you're doing, I did with my company in electronics, which was buyer and seller brokers in the same house under the same umbrella, but one represented buyers and one represented sellers." And Roger said, "That's a conflict of interest. I think in the brokerage community, there ought to be a house just for buyers and a house just for sellers, and there's no crosstalk. Do you think that would work?" And I went, "I think it'd be a home run with your name, with your reputation." Yeah. And he said, "Well, why don't you come join us and help get us started in that?" I went, "Huh." So I went home and talked about it, prayed about it, called him back and said, "I'm in." So I joined them 30 days later. And that was in 1986. And then I spent the next 40 years with them. And we took a company of 8 people up to 1,800 people. And we were the largest real estate company in the United States that only represented the users of real estate. We'll build it for you, we'll lease it for you, we'll buy it for you, we'll sell it for you, but you have to be the user. You cannot be a developer. So the developers were somewhat the enemy. And we looked at ourselves, we're saving our clients money. That's what we do for a living. And it was a great company. It was a Cinderella dream. The company did well.
I don't know if you remember, but I interned there one summer.
I do remember that.
1998. So you guys were on Hillcrest in that office building over there. And I'll never forget it. Just the culture of being there. It was such a cool company, and everybody, I mean, you guys just absolutely dominated the market.
We did. With humility, I might add.
With humility. And the culture was so good. It was just fun. Everyone was working hard, teaming up. That was a unique thing there too. At Staubach was the teaming that would occur, right?
Mm-hmm. There weren't set teams. You built the teams by the engagement.
Each client required you would figure out the best team to service each client instead of it. You have the same team. Like I have a setup where my team, we work on everything together,
right? And
it's different. But yeah, that was a unique approach.
It was wonderful because it was really setting the pattern to the requirement. Because set teams, you can't be good at everything, but when you can build it from the best that you have within the company, it's unique.
Yeah. That was that something that started right out of the gate when you developed this company, and it's going to be tenant rep only, but it did that teaming approach. That's pretty unique in commercial real estate. So when did that come in?
They had teams prior to that.
Yeah,
but once we went into that new era, it became pick the best for the requirement, not the set team. And so we busted it up, and it worked.
Yeah.
It worked, and it worked well. So things are good. Life's good. I mean, we were rocking and rolling, and at the time I was 35 and 35. So I had just started really with Staubach. And I was advised by my wife. We had 2 children. We had one when we were 23 and another when we were 25, Travis and Kelly. And living in Lakewood, And I was advised by my wife that we were going to separate. Why? Well, you're an unattentive husband. Unattentive. Uh, I'm a good financial provider, and I have a great relationship with my kids. She said, you are unattentive to me. Which was probably true, because when I traveled, when I came home, I hung out with the kids so that she could be freed up to go do her own thing. That transposed to her, into her mind, that I was being unattentive to her. And in my mind, I was giving her space to go stretch and do it without having to attend to the kids. So that was a hard lesson learned for me in life. Don't forget who brought you to the party. Now, the objective of life is, when you have kids, the guy, if both people are working, they get married, they're both working, they get a dog, they decide to get married. 2 years later, they decide to have a child. They're living in an apartment. Well, we can't have a child in an apartment. We need to buy a house. Oh, by the way, when the baby comes, that sports car I have doesn't work anymore. I need to get an SUV to put the baby seat in. You have the baby. Great. Everybody's loving on that child. Well, the dog's lonesome. His number one attention. Well, we need to buy another dog to play with the dog that we've got. Okay. And 2 years later, watching the biological clock, we need to have another child. Okay, so you have 2 children. Wife's not working anymore after the first child, so the guy's providing the money. The woman's really taking care of the kids. The dad gets them when he gets home. And then the dad's got his career he's working on. He's got whatever, his basketball game or his golf game or his whatever he's doing. Woman's got her friends who all have kids, so they all have the same issues to deal with. They become a group that hangs together, plays together, does together, gets together. So you have 2 different entities going on inside your family. And it's very typical for the guy gets involved in his stuff and wants to be a good dad. And the woman gets involved in her stuff. But the guy forgets that he has to be attentive to his husband. That was me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I said to her, well, I don't believe in separation because it's not real. I'm working. I'm putting money in your account. I've got to move out. You stay in the house. Kids are staying with you. I have to come visit. I'm paying the bills. There's no end game to this. I mean, this could go on for years. It's not real. Well, so you either need to get in the game with me, let's work it out, or you need to divorce me. See, I was throwing down the ace of spades on her, right?
Yeah.
Well, the ace of spades came back. You're going through a divorce. Whoa.
Were you surprised by that?
Oh.
You're a great salesperson too, so I'm sure you probably were confident this is going to be fine.
Right.
I'm going to work through this.
I pulled out the ace of spades.
I can see that.
Right? I don't know anyone who'd gone through a divorce, much less know how to spell it.
Yeah, they're more common today.
Well, I took that really hard. I became a Christian at 18 through young life and pursued Christianity in my way through college. I mean, there was God, and then there was my career and the kids, and went to church. And now I'm going through a divorce. I don't know how to handle it. I mean, I have kind of sort of failed at some attempts in my life, but not bad failures. This was a bad failure. This is the worst of all failures. So, over that, spring break, 1985, I went to South Padre, rented a condominium on a 11th floor of a condominium project. Went down there with my 2 kids. Met some people. They were going to the beach. They said, "You want to go to the beach with us?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I'm working through some issues. I'd like to stay here. You mind taking the kids with you?" And they said, "Oh, that's fine." Well, they did. Now, I had cried so much I didn't have a tear left in me. I am praying and I am crying, and I go out on that balcony, and it's 6:00 in the evening, and I'm just listening to the waves come in, and you can smell the seawater. It's sun setting behind us, and Satan goes to work on me, and he's telling me, "You're a loser. I mean, you are just flat out a loser. Do the world a favor. Just get out." So I crawled over the edge of that balcony. It had a fence, rows of iron in between it. I went on the outside of that balcony, 11 stories up, and just hung there like a cross. And Satan's at work. And I must have hung there for 10 or 12 minutes. And I get this gentle nudge, kind of "Hey, you, I'm not through with you yet." 5 times.
You're hearing this?
5 times. Well, I'd heard of the Holy Spirit, but I was frankly too busy. You know, you get these thoughts. They just come and you kind of blow them off. Well, that was one of those thoughts or suggestions. Well, I'm listening. I come in off the balcony. I go to a telephone. I call the Menrith and Meyer Clinic in Dallas. Talk to a doctor. It was 6 in the evening, so no one was there. Answering service got it. And they said, "What's up?" And I said, "I'm getting ready to commit suicide." And they said, "Can you just hold tight? We'll get right back to you. Don't go away." Okay. So I got a phone call back from a doctor. We talked. I went through it with him. He said, "Can you get back to Dallas tonight? I'd like to see you at 8:30 tomorrow morning." I said, "I don't know. I got to go to Harlingen, turn in the car, get my kids back up here. I don't know. I'll try." Anyway, we made it happen. I dropped the kids off at their grandmother's house who lived in Lakewood. And I went and stayed at a hotel. And the next morning I went over to the clinic, met with the doctor. We talked about it. And he said, "Right across the street is Richardson Medical Center. And they've got a wing, and they have one seat open in this wing. And I can't put you in there. You have to put yourself in there." And it's a 24/7 program about you. And there's 29 other people up there on that floor. And it's about them. "Want to go?" I went, "Sure." "You want to go home and get your stuff?" And I went, "Nah, let's get it over with and have it sent down to me." So we walked across the street. About 3 hours later, I'm signed up. Doctor says, see you tomorrow. It's lunchtime. I go to the cafeteria, get some food, and I sit down at this table, 4 chairs, nobody's there. I sit down, lunch, and this woman comes over and sits where you're sitting and just looks at me and says, I don't like you. You don't like me? I said, do we know each other? And she said, no. But I've watched you since you came in on this floor. And you have a presence and a walk and just an overall appearance and air and glide like you own this hospital. And you don't. That's a problem. And she gets up and walks off. Nice to meet you. What I didn't know was there was 27 other women on that floor. I was one of 2 guys. And I stood for everything that they disliked about their husbands and their fathers. Most of these people have been on that floor for over a year. And so I was there for 3 months.
Is this for different types of people struggling with mental health, or what, is it like a suicide specific
The combo play.
wing? Okay. So it's just,
I'm on lockdown.
okay, you're on lockdown.
I couldn't leave the floor.
And everyone's on lockdown there.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Couldn't leave the floor, couldn't exercise. So I started running laps on the floor.
Are you at Staubach Company while this is going on? Is this?
It was right in that in-between spot
Okay.
of Swearingen and Staubach. I'm right in the middle.
And just so I can frame this, because I went to rehab, right, for 3 weeks at a point in my life. But being a real estate broker for a living too is just kind of a stressful job. And so to be able to take care of yourself and go do something like that. And then you're talking about doing this in the mid 80s when it's not on the internet everywhere, talking about mental health and mental health awareness. That's a very uncommon, smart thing to do and extremely brave, like far beyond, I think today, I think there's much easier access to that type of stuff. But I mean, like you said, there's 2 guys there on that floor. Like, how many men were going to seek mental health treatment?
Not
How
me.
many of your peers?
In the 80s,
How did it occur to you to how did you know who to call?
we had gone to marriage counseling at Menrith and Meyer.
Oh, okay.
So I knew the name, I knew the
Got
doctor. Back in the 80s, you did not have the abundance of thoughts, books on marriage or on mental health.
Right.
They weren't out there. Today, it's wherever you turn. They didn't have the articles on divorces. No, it's abundant. Back then, there was no such thing. 24/7 program. Well, I was there for 3 months. Most people are there for a year. After 2 months, those women took me apart, piece by piece. I was like Humpty Dumpty falling off the wall. And they tore into me and just vultured me. So that at the end of their 2-month tour of duty, there was no ego, there was no self-esteem, there was no tears. It was the abyss. I should have jumped. Satan was right. When that happened, those 28 women put me back together piece by piece by piece for the next 30 days and became very good friends and molded me. This one lady, she was black, really neat. And she said to me early on, your sense of smell is just you. There's a whole world out there that you can't smell. You need to change that. She was right. When I was in the period to get out, the doctor, I can't get out. The doctor has to say, you're ready to go. Well, I got that notice, so I'm ready to go. And I was walking out of there with a sense that this has nothing to do with me. It has everything, where I'm going has everything to do with everybody else. That's my goal. Not me, everybody else. That was totally new to me. My ex-wife came up there and told me she was going to an attorney. I need to get an attorney. Meeting's tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Here's the location. Okay. So the next day came around, 10 o'clock, I show up, walk in this lawyer's office. There's a lawyer, there's my ex-wife. And they look at me and go, where's your attorney? And I went, I don't have one. You don't have an attorney? I went, don't need one. Attorney counsel. He starts, I listen for about 10 minutes. I finally go, whoa. I've listened to you for 10 minutes. Why don't you listen to me for 3? And I said, whatever she wants, she can have. She can have the house, she can have the cars, she can have the lake house, she can have the boat, she can have the jet skis, she can have the money, she can have the stock, she can have the bonds. She wants child support, pick a number. Send me the paperwork and I'll sign it. And I got up and I looked at him and I went, beat that one.
Congratulations. You just got your best deal ever here.
I walked out.
Man, as we continue this conversation, it sounds like a very Carl Ewert thing to do.
Well, it was tough.
I mean, so did you talk, Kelly and Travis were like, I'm just doing the math, around 7, 10 years old or something around that time.
Yeah.
You were in there. Did you,
a little lower.
Were you able to talk to them about what was going on, or do you remember how that was handled? I mean, the mental health hospital and the divorce and all of that.
Not to any great depth. I don't.
Yeah.
They knew about the divorce. When I got out, I'd see them. I rented a house close by so they could come over. I couldn't go over there unless I called and said, hey, I had 2 dogs over there that I used to run with. So in the state of Texas, you can get a divorce in 61 days if it's not contested. Problem is you have to have a lawyer. Well, I don't want a lawyer because a lawyer has to have a fiduciary. So I said, maybe I can find a lawyer who will be a scribe. We used to have a neighbor, you probably know him, Irv Queel.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know Allison Quill.
Yeah. Well, I called Irv and I said, he's
So he was married to Pam.
Yeah.
Okay. I never knew Irv.
So I asked him about it. I said, I just need a scribe. He said, I have one lawyer who'd maybe do this for you. And so he accepted. And he said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you what's good for you, and I'm going to tell you what's good for you, and what's good for you may not be good for her, and what's good for her may not be good for you, and you're going to have to just decide which way to go. What do you think? I went, great. So we did that. Our legal bill was $681. And we were divorced in 61 days. Time goes by. I ended up remarrying a year and a half later, Patricia, who I had known for 10 or 12 years prior to that from the neighborhood. And we had joint the only thing that I asked of the lawyers is how I want joint custody on everything for my kids.
Were you guys would just kind of communicate on a weekly basis, just who's going to have them win?
No, there was a schedule put in place.
Okay.
And so we were abiding by that. And I looked at it one day and I said, you know, my kids are like gypsies. They're like nomads. They have no root. So I called my ex-wife and I said, look, love the kids. I have joint custody. I believe you're more important in their life than I am at this stage at their age. What would you think about keeping them full-time, living at your house full-time? But when I want them, I want them. If you're not conflicted with them doing something, we're not going to use the kids as a pawn in this game. I never want to read the divorce decree again. If you have a date, if you're going out, I'm the best babysitter they can have. So use me as a babysitter, you use me as a drop-off place, whatever you're doing, you need to do something that doesn't involve the kids, call me. And when I would like to see the kids, which is as many times as you want to give them to me, I want the kids. If we can live under that arrangement, you can have the kids to live with you full-time. What do you think? And she went, okay. So we did that. Well, Trish had 2 children. I have 3, so now we're the Brady Bunch. We've got 5.
You are.
And I get a call from about, maybe 2 years later. I get a call from my ex-wife, and she says, how would you like to have the kids full-time? Well, I'd love that. Why? She said, well, I've decided to take a job with American Airlines, and I'm moving to Boston, selling the house, furniture, car, and I'll be in Boston, but American is based in Dallas. I'll be through here all the time, so I can see the kids. What do you think? I went, pack it up. I'm ready. From that time on, that was about 2 years after we'd gotten our divorce, we became the Brady Bunch. Kids lived with Trish and I, all 5 of them. The ages at that time were 12, 11, 10, 9, and 6. And Trish and I talked about pride of authorship and making our own. That conversation took about 3 minutes.
You're good.
We got a freight train going through here. We don't need a caboose way back here. So anyway, that's the career went on. The marriage is great. The kids are great. They're all married today. I have 14 grandchildren. Our house is ground zero for the family. For Tricia's family, it comes out of Groesbeck, Texas. Thanksgiving, we have 106 people at our house for Thanksgiving. And it's wonderful. And the kids come there The grandkids come there. They bring their friends there. We entertain a lot, as you know. It's an open door policy in the neighborhood. We love walking at the lake. Lake's a big part of our life. The Arboretum. Between those two things, and I retired from commercial real estate when I retired a minute before the new year of 2018. I retired in 2017, went to bed and woke up unemployed.
And during your career, you were an office tenant rep broker. You really specialized in the downtown, uptown area. Is that safe to say?
That's totally accurate.
Okay, totally accurate. Tell me about like one of the most exciting deals that you worked on out of all those deals.
Well, it's
and like winning the business and all
really,
of that.
It's really pretty easy. I was 39 and company's rolling. Gosh, I'd only been in the business for 4 years. And I had been pursuing KPMG at the time, Big Six accounting firm. And our company had never represented any of the Big Sixes. I was in pursuit of KPMG. And I get a letter one day from KPMG New York, or New Jersey actually. We're going to interview for brokers for our engagement. It's going to be on this day and this time. They were interviewing 6 firms.
When you were pursuing them to get this letter, were you cold calling them? Were you meeting with the people in Dallas, or how did you get the letter?
Well, I was pursuing the managing partner in Dallas.
Okay.
And he told me that I needed to meet a guy named Ken Bowen in Montville, New Jersey at headquarters. Well, I couldn't get through to Ken Bowen in Montville in New Jersey. So I got on a plane and I flew to New York City, got a hotel, and called into Montville and told them I was in New York, 45 minutes away from their headquarters. I just wanted to stop by and introduce myself to Ken Bowen. And she said, "You're here?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am. I had some other business here in New York and thought I would just drop by. Just 5 minutes, say hello." She said, "Well, I don't see that as a problem." Well, I was in New York to do what I just did.
It was your whole plan.
Anyway, so I get in a town car and go out there to the headquarters and walk in and see a guy named Ken Bowen. Receptionist is nice. Secretary is nice. There's Ken. Upstate New York kind of guy. I walk in, sit down, and he says, "What are you doing in my office?" Well, I have been talking to C.H. Moore, the managing partner in Dallas, about your transaction in Dallas. And I'd like to represent you because that's my backyard. He went, "That lease doesn't come up for 3 years. And I make all the decisions on who gets this business, not C.H. Moore. You understand that?" I went, "Yes, sir." He said, "Are we done?" And I said, "Downtown's changing a lot. There's things happening out there a lot. And I just send you some news notes so you're better prepared for whoever you hire of where the direction of Dallas is going? I went, sure, that'd be nice. Okay, goodbye. Walk back out there, get in the town car, go to the airport, fly back to Dallas. About 6 months later, I get this letter, we're going to interview. Well, I know the players. And I am the youngest player of the players of the 6, at least by 10 years. So I go to Roger, of course, and I go, Roger, we've got an interview. No, excuse me. I'm okay. We've got an interview with KPMG. You want to go? Oh, yeah. What do you want me to do? So we talk about it. My first time I've ever taken Roger to an interview, ever. And it's going to be the last time I ever take him to an interview. So we're in this interview. You've got an hour. Well, 30 minutes of that hour was spent talking about football and the Hail Mary and Super Bowls.
Did he bring a signed football?
No, everyone always says that, but he didn't.
Yeah.
We never walked in with a signed football, ever.
That's funny. Everyone does always say that.
But the signed football could come later.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like sending a thank you note after a party.
Yeah. That's a great thank you note.
So when they're through talking with Roger, I'm sitting over here in the corner trying to win some business, and Roger's talking about playing football. He's having a great time. They're having a great time. They're with Roger Staubach. I'm going, oh my. Anyway, we wrap up the interview, and it's over. We leave. 2 months later, I get another letter. I mean, I'm shaking. Open it up. We have narrowed the list down to 3, and you've been invited to come to the last and final interview. Okay, so I'm now developing what needs to happen that should have happened in the first one that didn't happen. So I get to Roger's office, and I said, Roger, we got the final interview to go back. He goes, hey, let's go get him. And I said, Roger, I don't want you to go. You don't want me to go? No, I don't want you to go. You're a great guy, but I need the focus. You had it last time. I got to have it this time. Okay, anything I can do for you? I went, no. Stay home. Okay. I went home that night to Tricia. I said, honey, I either blew my feet out or I have just grown a foot. One of the two things are going to happen. There's no in between on this one. Anyway, so I go, a guy named Bob Edge.
Oh, yeah.
The king of downtown. And John Amon, ex-Staubach, are my 2 competitors. The Amon Company, Cushman and Wakefield. Okay. So we go to the interview. I'm the last one to interview. It's the position they've given me. Well, when both of those guys see me sitting in the lobby, they both kind of chuckled. Amon said to me, what are you doing here? Free lunch? So I go in and interview. Oh, an important thing. So before the second interview, I called Ken Bowen just to verify the details. And he says to me, if you got this engagement, who's the quarterback? I said, I am. He said, then leave the other guy at home. That's what stimulated me to say to Roger, why don't you park it? So anyway, I went through the second interview, got a call from Ken and said, you got it.
How long did they make you wait after the second interview?
A week.
Yeah.
A week.
That's amazing.
So it was really my most dramatic career-changing win. I ended up representing they went from the Big Six to the Big Fours. We ended up representing Deloitte, Ernst & Young, Price Waterhouse, and KPMG. I ended up representing KPMG all over the United States. The other guy is just in Dallas. I was 39. And it was just a benchmark put in place that set a stone of which to catapult from. Credibility. And then with a partner of mine in Washington, D.C., he and I took over the U.S. for them and all their stuff. Dear friends, I still see them today. I had some wonderful wonderful engagements. Just wonderful. But
what's their footprint in Dallas? Just since I don't know that much about, I can't think of like office tenant size, but like what size deal is that they're
it's
doing?
250,000 feet.
Yeah.
In a high rise, new building was going to be built for them. But it was great. We ended up, the last one I did, we put them in the Arts District in Hall's building. And that was my last engagement with KPMG. But I've got great, as I said, my clients,
but they were a career client. So
they were a career client.
So you worked with them until you retired. That's amazing. Man, we have so many parallels, and I probably subconsciously knew that, but just sitting down and hearing this story, so great. But I think to be a great commercial real estate broker, it takes that break. You got to be ready for it, but to get that confidence, almost, I don't know if that was something you struggled with. It doesn't seem like you ever did, but some might say the same about me. But I landed my first big client, and what I did was land a big publicly traded logistics company when I was about 32 years old or something, 31. And then that's what I started repping all of these logistics companies, and still do. But I just got into the vertical of this type of business. And that's really been a great way to work, because all of my clients have a lot of similar challenges they're facing, and they have similar needs, and similar people work at the different places and move around to each place. And so it becomes a really just efficient way to work, and then also to truly know the business of your customer. So not only are you knowing the real estate, but you're knowing their core business when you're working with a company on a repeat basis like that, and then other of their competitors and in that industry. And I think that's the way to create just maximum value for clients, is to truly understand their business. And there's no better way to do that than what you did.
Well, it works for them. It streamlines their process because I don't have to be retrained. Knowing the local managing partners is really important. It was just one of those career things I'll never forget. They're dear friends.
That's awesome.
So it was, can we leave business for a minute?
That's all. I had to get a deal story from Carl Ewert if you're going to be on my podcast. So
Okay.
we can.
Something greater than even that is retiring.
Hmm.
So I retired in 2008. And
When Staubach sold.
we had to stay there were several of us that had to stay for 6 more years after the sale
Okay.
to get the payout.
Got it.
They didn't want their EBITDA walking out the door.
Yeah.
So Roger and I stayed. We were the last 2 Mohegans to leave. So we stayed 6 more years after that. Or 8 more years. 9, actually.
So 2018.
2018.
Okay.
In the business, as you know, in being a broker, so you sit in the middle and your clients are, for me, it was a law, a lot of accounting, a lot of utility company, people like Mary Kay or Kimberly Clark, American Airlines. So they're all different pieces. They talk differently. They wear different clothes, different shoes, and do different things. And you've got to dress and talk to the occasion. If you're going to go to Mary Kay, you better be in French cuffs and an Hermes tie, for instance. But they all had their comfortable place of how they talked and how they dressed and so forth, and you had to fit. So I found the greatest challenge in retiring was, who am I? That sounds kind of crazy maybe, but I had a wardrobe that would fit all these occasions, shoes that fit all these occasions, black ties, everything. Boots. Who am I? Because I felt like I was a chameleon. And that took some time to figure out who I was. And who I discovered who I was went back to Texas Tech. The guys that taught me the rural country way of living, ethics, character, integrity. I only signed a real estate contract one time in my entire career. It was just a handshake. That's the way they do it out there. So I found that I adapted who I really was, where I was being in West Texas or being in South Texas. I live in a city, but I like how they dress, how they act, what they stand for, their values. You can count on them. There's very little pretentiousness. It's real. It's not a all hat and no cattle in most places. There are some of that, but not much. I like that. Whereas in the city, there's a lot of hats with no cattle underneath them. And that's who I have become. Hat. Boots. Blue jeans. Hunting. That's who I am.
Short shorts.
I run.
That's a Carl Ewert staple, is your short short.
I've been running since I was 14 years old.
Did you ever wear the short jean shorts to a pitch?
Oh, sure. I water skied in them.
Yeah.
Yeah. My Daisy Dukes is what they were called.
Daisy Dukes. Oh, yeah.
So that was really interesting.
How did that kind of crisis of identity, was it surprising to you just when you I mean, when you woke up and it was 2018 and you didn't have to go to work, and then it's like, what am I going to do? Did you have a plan for what you were going to do?
No plan.
Yeah. So you just woke up and started figuring it out. I'm like, what is my identity really?
And I still am.
Yeah.
You know, most people retire, go play golf. Well, what I found, so I'm playing golf, I'm playing handball, I'm playing tennis, I'm water skiing. The only thing I didn't do was play basketball. I could never learn to chew and dribble at the same time. Ran a lot, 10Ks with Tricia. I mean, we were traveling just to go to runs. And everything's fine. You know, marriage is good, everything's fine, doing all the stuff I love to do. Kids are good, travel's good, everything's good. The year 2020 shows up. At that point, I'm 70 years old. I'm not a birthday guy. I don't pay attention to birthdays. I really don't pay attention to holidays. I pay attention to one day every 10 years, and that's the first day of a new decade. I live a life in decades. At the beginning of a decade, you pull out a new mural. It's blank in my mind. And everything you say and everything you do, it's that mural for 10 years. And at the end of 10 years, I look at that mural mentally, and I walk myself for 10 years back through it. What'd you do right? What'd you do wrong? What can you do better? It's like people make resolutions on New Year's. I don't. I do it every 10 years. How do you right the boat? Or unwrite things that you've righted. So here I am, turning 70, 2020, yeehaw, giddy up. Playing tennis. I take a tennis ball to this eye. I go blind for 4 months. 5 surgeries. Blows up my pupil. I can see again. Leaves me with a problem to remember it by. Balance. Okay. Still walk. Can't play golf anymore. Can't play handball anymore. Can't snow ski anymore. All these things that I love to do, I couldn't do. Water ski, yes. All I'm going to do is crash on the water. Teaching my grandkids how to slalom ski, I blow out my hamstring in the next year. The eye took me out for a year. The hamstring took me out for 6 months.
This sounds like a God thing.
The next thing, I'm getting there. The next year, I'm fresh. Here we go. Running down at the lake, 4 miles. Trish and I do that lake 4 miles every morning unless it's snowing or it's raining. If we travel to Europe, we're still doing 4 miles in Europe. I don't care where we are, we're putting in our 4 miles. We have grandkids at the house. Tricia stays behind. I go out, 2 mile mark. I pirouette, come back, blow out my Achilles tendon. Literally have to cheek by cheek crawl home. 6:30. There's no one on the lake at 6:30 in the morning. No cars moving. 1.5 year injury, Achilles tendon. Okay, got through that. We're back. I'm speaking at a wedding in Ponte Vedra, Florida. Trish and I are out walking the sawgrass area. My toe catches a curb, undulating sidewalk, flips me. I break 6 ribs, smash my head. Go to the emergency room. Next day, I have to speak at a wedding in front of 80 people and teach them about the love languages at a marriage. Broken ribs. It was amazing.
And you did it.
I did.
Wow.
Okay. All's clear. February 8th of last year. As you know, as I said, we entertain a lot. We got a big party for all the grandkids and their friends for Valentine's. I'm out there with my backpack blower. I'm blowing off the leaves. I'm blowing off the yard. I'm blowing everything off. I'm done. I'm coming back to put the backpack back in the shed. I'm going down the stone steps at the house. I trip with a backpack on my back and go down and land half on the rock and half on the grass. My grandson sees me. He comes out. Pops, you okay? Get your grandmother. Get Nona. Tricia comes over. She says, what's up? I said, I've got to go to the hospital. Okay. Paramedics get there, put me on the thing, go in the back of the truck. That's all I remember. That's the last thing I remember for 29 days.
Last year,
February 8th, last year,
2025.
2025. I wake up. I'm in bed. I'm in the hospital. No, I'm in a room. Trisha's sitting there, and I'm going, how'd the operation go? Oh, I told Trisha, I think I broke my hip, which I had. How'd the operation go? She said it went well. No problems with the operation. Good. Well, when do we go? She said, well, you're going to be here a little while. She said, there's a lot that's going on that you don't know about. I said, what? She said, you've been out for 29 days. You quit breathing in the hospital. You've been on life support for 7 days in intensive care, Presbyterian Hospital. I then had you moved to rehab. You're at Baylor right now. You've just woken up from 29 years of hibernation, 29 days of hibernation. The doctor said either you're going to die or you had severe brain damage. I went, from a hip operation? No. When you came out of the operation, you were fine. You went to recovery, and about an hour later, you started shaking. Convulsions, shaking. I've never seen anything like it before. It was like when you take a fish out of the water, out of the ocean, and put him on the deck of the boat. That was you. And I'm screaming. I get a doctor. He comes back. He calls stat. The place swamps with nurses, and you're on your way to ICU. And the doctor says to me, Tricia, how much does your husband drink alcohol? He said, I've never seen him drunk. We're social. We drink a lot of wine. We go to a lot of events, and he loves tequila. We've got a place in Cabo San Lucas, and I love the tequila. And the doctor says to her, he is going through withdrawal. That's what this is all about. Had he not been here in a hospital when this happened, he would for sure be dead. This is withdrawal of all those years of that wine and that tequila. And she said, that's what put you where you are today. So I was in rehab for 2 months on campus, and 2 months as a visitor. And I became an unvisitor in January of this year. I have no brain injuries. Heart's working. Vital signs are great. No problem. And I haven't had any alcohol in my system since February 7th of 2025. So I talked to the doctor about this, and he said, you have neuropathy?
Yeah.
And I said,
My
yeah.
dad has that.
He said, you know how you get it? I went, no. He said, alcohol. No alcohol, no neuropathy generally. He said, by the way, you can stop it, but you can't cure it. You just bought that one for your life. I said, well, I made a list of all the reasons I shouldn't drink. And so I called a family meeting in February. No, excuse me, April. Tricia, her sisters, brothers, my kids, grandchildren. And I said, I'm announcing today I quit drinking. And I'm telling all of this because if you believe, or if you see me drinking any alcohol, I give you the keys to the gates to unlock it and call me out. Think I'm lying? Tell me that. No repercussions. Hold me accountable for this statement. I'm not going to AA. I had my brother in it 3 times. If there's one thing I know about me, I am steadfast on hitting a target. And this is a target. And I've got friends who have gone through this. If I need someone in my hip pocket to talk to, I got them. But I don't want to talk to them. But I'll talk to them if I feel like I need to talk to them. And that means if I feel like I have to drink, I'm going to talk to them. I quit. Feel great. Neuropathy has subsided some. Eating better. Lost my taste buds, by the way.
Really?
And smell.
From the coma?
From the ventilator
okay.
running down me, I guess. They say it may come back, it may not. I get a little taste of something once in a while, but not much. But what's really neat is it's become in vogue today not to drink.
True.
Alcohol sales are down, wine sales are down. People aren't drinking as much. Usually we throw a party, I'll go through a case of wine at the party. I'm going through 2 or 3 bottles of wine. Amazing. Just happens to be that's really in vogue right now. So.
I joke that the reason for alcohol sales declining for the first time ever, which is happening right now, is because I quit drinking.
I'm right behind you, buddy.
We helped move the market. When I quit, I said, you need to just bet on, you need to short alcohol futures in East Dallas now because they're not going to sell near as much. So
can I add one other thing to all this? And I'll shut up.
Yeah, no, man, this has just been fantastic.
I have never been as close to the Lord as I am today. When that Holy Spirit, I left out something really important. That Holy Spirit grabbed me on that rail. That was him. I've listened to him daily. When I was walking one day. This is after the 5 years. And my left toe just like it explodes. I mean, enough that it dropped me on the lake. Take my shoe off, take my toe looks fine. But the pain, and it is wrapping around my left foot and plants itself underneath my left ankle. I can't walk. Again, I'm 2 miles out.
Yeah.
I got to do it over again.
Yeah.
So I get home, tell Tricia, call the guy who did my Achilles tendon. Works for Monty Montgomery. Worked Monty Montgomery.
Yeah.
Called Monty first, called him. He said, come on in, let's take a look at it. So I go down there, meet with him, tell him the problem. He said, let's get a picture, take a picture. He said, there's a tendon that runs from your big toe to underneath your ankle. It's popped. And I said, yeah. Same deal, Carl. Tendons don't heal themselves. You either have to live with it or you have to have it sewed back together. What do you want to do? And I said, it's been 5 years of boots and casts and all that for me. I'm just tired of this crap. I got to think about it. Okay. I have an office at I bought a condominium in Victory Park and have an office down there.
Yeah.
My hideout. Some people have man
I've been there. I've
yeah.
been there one time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm down there this one day, and all this stuff for the last 5 years. Now the toe. I can't walk. I mean, I literally can't put any pressure on that foot. I cannot walk. I'm praying and I'm crying and I'm talking to God vis-a-vis the Holy Spirit in Christ. And I'm saying, look, I've had a blessed life, great wife, great kids, great grandkids, Cinderella career, wonderful friends. I love my home. I love the lake. I love everything about except my toe. You've taken everything away from me physically, except one thing, and that was walking. Now I can't walk. I'm ready to go home. My prayer to you today, then, I want to go to bed tonight, and I don't want to see morning. I'm ready to go. Thank you for everything. I've given back a lot. It's time for me to go. Exit left. Okay? Drive home. Trish and I watch a movie. Go to bed. And I tell her that. I said, I'm going to go take a sleeping pill. And this is the last time you and I are going to talk. I ain't going to be here tomorrow if the Lord answers my prayer. We cry. I go get a sleeping pill and I go to sleep. 5:30. I wake up. Crap. I've got to go to the bathroom. I got to pee.
I can't help but this is
I reach
a
over,
wild story.
walk to the bathroom, and back to bed, and it doesn't hurt. I'm really pissed. I go to sleep. 7 o'clock, I wake up again. Was that a dream? 8 legs out of bed. It doesn't hurt. Tricia, wake up. It doesn't hurt. What do you mean it doesn't hurt? It doesn't hurt. Okay, now what? I said, I'm going to call the doctor. So I call him. He says, this is 8:30. Okay, come on down. Drive down to see him. Tell him he's going. Walk out this door and go to the bathroom, would you? Let's get an X-ray. Okay. X-ray. Come back, sitting there, flipping through my emails. Excuse me. He walks in, feel him. You can see this one? Yeah? Torn, right? Torn. Look at this one. Nothing wrong with it.
Power of prayer.
That's in 2 days. I'm crying. You see, you know what happened. You just experienced a miracle. I've never seen this before or heard about it. So I go back and say, Lord, what have you been trying to show me? 5 years of this. What are you trying to tell me? And the message was, ask for help. I never asked for help. As Tricia said, Carl, you're a gracious giver, but a horrible receiver. Think of the pleasure that you take away from people because you won't receive their gift of help. That's what it's taught me. So the Lord's not through with me yet.
No, he's not.
He's a great guy. And I'm closer to him than I've ever been before. That's my story, buddy.
Carl, I got chills. I love you, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank goodness how glasses on.
You got a lot more living left to do, buddy. Thanks for trucking on.